All right, going backpacking this morning. Um, just I like backpacking. My old army backpack there. It doesn't have the frame, and I'm still looking for a frame, but I'm not gonna spend $70 for a frame for an old frame. I don't know what I did with the frame, but anyway, um, I put a piece of cardboard inside the back so it's kind of more upright, and I found this. I just keep them on there when I'm gonna really go and hang out in the park, camping or something like that. I have them on there, but I go backpacking just to help kind of build my legs, get used to backpacking, get my legs used to it, and it's kind of feels good, if nothing else. So that's what I'm gonna go backpacking. Have my light here. It's about 5:30, so it's not that early. But just in case I need some light, I got my light here. All right. So we're gonna load up and head out. I have on a jacket because it's still a little chilly, but pretty soon I won't need one. This doesn't weigh that much. Maybe around, I don't know, 30 pounds maybe or so. Or less, maybe. Yeah. But it does a little bit better than just walking. All right, so when I come back, I have to clean up. Gotta clean this place up, my bananas and all that stuff. Gotta clean them up because it's planting time again. Time to plant. Gotta cut that big ackee tree in the back. And it's a lot of work, a lot of work, a lot of work. But I'm gonna get it done because I don't like my place, the mess that it is right now. I don't know, just, sometimes things just get out of hand, and you don't even you don't even see it getting out of hand. All right, I'm just gonna go around this cul-de-sac here one time. So I have the camera facing out, so usually I had it on me, which you don't want to be staring at me the whole time. My neighborhood is pretty nice. Got lights, so yeah, pretty safe. I've been living in this neighborhood since 2003. So what does that make? 21 years going on 22. I just tell everybody 20 years. All right. I got sleep problems um ever since I had um thyroid problems. I end up having sleep problems. And so um at one point I I saw a sleep doctor at the VA. I got a sleep doctor who was giving me treatment, but it's not medicine, guys. No medicine. this is this is what the there's a thing called CBTI, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. There's an app. There's an app for it too. You could get the app and use it. But it's really good because what it does is it trains your body to sleep, to have a sleep cycle. I'll back up and tell you what had happened. I had, from the time I was in the military, this was in 1990, 1990, 1989, 1990. Yes. They found out that I had hyperthyroidism. And so, no, this wasn't 1990. This was after we got back from the desert. This was 1992. 1992. We got back in 91 from Saudi Arabia. They found out that I had hyperthyroidism. How I found out? I was in training for first phase of 91 Charlie course. And I was running. And man, I couldn't run. I was out of breath. But the first phase of any course in the military, you get, all phases, but the first phase especially, you get weeded out. They weed people out. And so you have to pass the, not only the written part of it, but the physical part of it. And so I was out there running, and it was the last day that we had a PT test. When we were winding down, I had a PT test, and I just couldn't go. And so I didn't want to flunk. So man, I was almost dying. And I went to the TMC, Troop Medical Clinic, and they just said, I could hardly breathe. They said, well, and I was losing weight. That's the other thing. I was losing weight. I lost 27 pounds in 2 months I was there, which is not unheard of to lose weight, but I didn't have much to lose. I was already just 140 pounds. My eyes were all sunken in, and so I was having diarrhea, lots of diarrhea. That's what it was. I was having lots of diarrhea. I'm trying to remember the whole ordeal. This was 40 years ago almost. But I was having a lot of diarrhea, and that's why I was losing the weight. Nothing stayed in me. And so they said, they gave me Pepto-Bismol, Kaopectate, or whatever that was, and send me back out there. And so I finished, though. Thank God I finished the first phase. Went to my second phase in Colorado. The first phase was in San Antonio. I went to my second phase in Colorado, in the Denver area, in Aurora. This was a hospital there named Fitzsimmons. And when we went up there, I definitely couldn't run, because now the air is thinner. You're in the mountains, and the air is thinner, much thinner. And so even the people who were normal and very healthy couldn't run. Could hardly run. We were dying. You run half a mile and everybody was just gasping for breath. But, after a while, you get acclimated to it. But that's when I went to the doctor and they took the time to try to figure out what was going on. They got my heart rate was like 140 or something like that. They said, "Oh man, you're a sick puppy." they, and they did some tests and they said, "You have Graves' disease." I didn't know what Graves' disease was, but it was. But they found out I had hyperthyroidism, and so they said, "Oh no, you can't be out there running with your heart rate at 120 or whatever it was there," but it was way over 100. And so they started giving me some treatment, some medicine. They gave me tapazole or methimazole, the generic name, methimazole. They gave me tenormin, which is the generic name is atenolol, and they gave me cholesterol. And so the tapazole was to help treat the hyperthyroid situation. The tenormin was to help slow my heart rate, and the cholesterol is actually a powder that you mix. It was a cholesterol drug, but they were using it as an experimental drug to help. It helped dried up the amount of thyroxine that I had in my system. And so what it would do, it's supposed to help with cholesterol, but it helped dry up the cholesterol, the thyroxine, because when you have hyperthyroidism, it's you have your thyroid gland is secreting too much iodine in your body, and all that stuff speeds up your everything. It speeds up everything because that's what it's supposed to. That iodine is supposed to help regulate your digestion and your functions, how your heart function. It sort of put out enough to make your heart beat at a certain rate. If it doesn't put out enough, it slows everything down. That's when you're in hypothyroidism, and people usually, it slows down your metabolism, you get fat, it slows down everything, slows down your heart, slows down all the processes in your body. But then when you have too much, it speeds up all the processes in your body. And I didn't get the bug eyes. I hear people, and I've seen people with the bug eyes, make their eyes pop. But so mine was a very unique case. But I end up was taking all that stuff. The cholesterol drugs, made me constipated, and I had to stop taking that powder. And then, things slowed down. The heart rate finally slowed down, and my thyroid level, it finally, after it was about 4 months, no, longer than that, about half a year. We were there for second phase for a year, and it took about half a year for everything to calm down. I still had to do my PT. And they found when my heart rate went back to normal, they said, "Oh, you got to do your PT." And when it was too fast, they modified my PT. You still had to. You're not gonna get away. Just thank God I didn't keel over dead from a heart attack. But anyway, um, so they brought me. I can I finished first phase. Things calmed down a bit, but during that time they wanted to radiate my thyroid. They said, okay, what's gonna happen is it's gonna come back again after about 5 years, and it could be worse. So let's radiate your thyroid. They're gonna give me some radiation, some dye that goes straight to my thyroid and kill off my thyroid, some radioactive dye. So I said, let me think about that. Because once they kill your thyroid off, you're gonna have to take thyroid medicine for the rest of your life. I mean, people do it and live with it, but I said I'd rather have the real thing, even though it's not, even though it potentially could not work right after a while. I'd rather keep my thyroid. Who knows what would have happened though, you know? So anyway, I I didn't do it. And so there you go. I'm in the military. Every twice a year I go to get my thyroid levels checked. Everything is good. Come 95, I got out the military and moved to the good old West Palm Beach. Then I'm here in, and I was going to my regular doctors, and they have my history, they have all that stuff, so they were checking my thyroid, and it was fine. Come 2009, I was going to the VA because the VA had sent me something that they were doing, this Persian Gulf initiative. It's where there were people that went to the Persian Gulf and had any kind of problems after they got back. They needed to take care of them. So they said, "Oh, come on, we need to check you out. We need to follow what's happening." And so I said, "Okay." I also had a daughter that died from a rare. After I got back, we have a daughter that died from a rare disease called Williams syndrome. She was 2 years old, Patrice, and she, you know, she had a condition with her vessels, where her blood vessels would just get were narrowed, going all the way into her lungs and all around. And so they were trying to do surgery, and she died during the surgery. But she was, it didn't show on the outside. She was running around just like any other child. But anyway, with that and the thyroid thing, they said something is going on with you. So come, let's check it out. I went to the VA to do and the doctor was doing my physical, and thank God he did a real physical exam. A lot of doctors nowadays, they don't do that old physical exam where they feel your neck, they tap your belly, hit your knee with a little hammer, and it flips. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of doctors don't do that nowadays, the old physical exam. But that doctor was an old-time doctor, and he did that. So when he rubbed his finger around my neck, he said, feels like you have a little lump right here on the right side of my neck. So he said, well, you had thyroid issues, So but my levels were still normal. Remember that now. They were checking my thyroid levels. They were still normal. And see, that's what I was looking at. I didn't, I didn't think about a thyroid mass or anything like that, or nodules. Yeah, I didn't even know what those were, that you could get those. But I've seen people with goiter, the big thing that comes up on their neck. I said, well, if I see that coming up, I'll know. But it didn't. There's nothing that changed with me. I didn't feel anyway different. But anyway, he said, let's go get it an ultrasound. I did an ultrasound and found out that I had nodules, thyroid nodules. So now these were little growths on my thyroid. And that's what caused that little lump here on my neck. So they got him biopsied. They biopsied them and said, well, they're not cancerous. They're benign. They're not malignant. So we'll just watch them and see. So that was 2009. So they were checking my thyroid levels twice a year. I went and got labs. And so the levels were fine. And I didn't feel any way different. So this is 2017. 2017. So 2000, that's 8 years later. I started having my heart rate started going like no. I started having sleep problems. When I lay down at night, every hour, I feel like my heart is racing, and I get up, and I have to get up. I wake up, and I lay down again, try to sleep. My heart is racing, and all throughout the night, that's what was happening. And I'm like, what's going on? So I called the VA. I went to the VA. They checked me out. They said, everything seems to be fine. Your thyroid levels are fine. Usually if your thyroid levels are fine, your heart rate are up rather. Your heart rate is fast. But that wasn't the case. They were fine. All my labs were fine. So they gave me a stress test. And more than once they gave me a stress test. After they gave me the stress test, it was okay. They said, oh, your stress test is fine. I ran on the treadmill and didn't even, hardly broke a sweat. They had to turn the thing up to keep running because they said your heart rate is not even getting worked up on the treadmill. They had to keep me going for a while, turn it up faster. So they didn't. So it happened again, rather. And they gave me a Holter monitor. This is something that you take home. You sleep with it. They have it attached to you like EKGs to see what's happening to your heart rate during the night, and to see if I was having any kind of arrhythmias from my heart. And that was fine. I didn't have arrhythmias. I was still waking up during the middle of the night. No arrhythmias or anything like that. But my heart rate was still speeding up. And I was just waking up, getting up, and then going back to sleep. And this would happen like every hour. So from 2017, I've been going back and forth to the doctor for the same thing. I was like out of my mind. Some nights I didn't sleep at all. I was like a wreck with this thing. Till they gave me a sleep study. Sleep study came back fine. At that time I was at the hospital. One of the things that happened is that they brought me into the hospital to do the sleep study. And when I'm in the hospital beds, I like to put the hospital beds up a little bit instead of having a bunch of pillows. I just put the bed up a little bit, and that helped. And I slept like a baby. I slept really good. I'm like, wow, this hospital bed sleeps pretty good, better than my bed at home. Because what was happening at home, whenever I would get um, to where I couldn't, I was waking up all the time, I'd go sit up in the sofa, and I found that when I sat up in the sofa, I put my feet up, kind of reclined, I would sleep it. I'd fall asleep and get some sleep. I'm like, oh, so that's what I was doing every night. As soon as I wake up, I just went out to the sofa and and sat up in the sofa and got some sleep. I said, oh, maybe it's the bed. The sofa works, so maybe it's the bed. But I realized that sitting up helped me. So that's what I started to do. I started to sleep. I kind of sit up and it kind of helped a little bit. So, so finally, in 2020, this was 2020 now, and I have to like kick myself and wanted to kick the doctor too, because it was in 2020 that, ooh, water, sprinkle almost got me there. It was in 2020 that the doctor finally said, I think we need to do another ultrasound on your thyroid. I missed it. They missed it. I just never thought of it. Everybody was focused on my heart because it was my heart rate that was up. But my thyroid levels were fine. They were perfectly fine. And so everybody was focused on my heart because it was my heart rate. Chasing rabbits when the real problem was right there in front of us. And they did an ultrasound and found out that my thyroid had this huge mass. Huge, huge. But the other thing that tricked everybody, including myself, is that when you have a thyroid mass and it's growing, it's called a goiter. You'll see it because it'll grow out into a big lump. You know what happened to mine? It grew in. Now, how do you figure that? Didn't grow out. It grew in. So it was growing in and it was pressing on my trachea, my windpipe. And I didn't feel like I was out of breath or anything like that. Because what had happened, it did it so slowly and pushed it away, pushed my trachea away, deviated, pushed it to the side. But it did it so slowly over time that my body just compensated. I never felt it. I never felt like I was out of breath or anything. And then it grew down also into my chest cavity, a little bit, like an inch and a half or so. No, it says it was about 3 inches. No, not that far down. So it was about an inch and a half down into my chest. And or maybe 2 inches, I don't remember. But it was down into my chest. And then it also was pushing on my brachiocephalic artery. That's that artery right by your shoulder, neck, shoulder area there. And so that's where the heart rate thing was coming from, because what it would do when I lay down a certain way, it would just put pressure on that brachiocephalic artery and sort of cut off my circulation a bit, and that's why my heart rate was speeding up. But when I got up, everything was fine because it got the pressure off of it. See how crazy life can be? La vida loca. So anyway, that's what happened there. And I end up, so they said, well, we gotta have to, you're gonna have to have surgery. You have to operate. They were gonna do it at the VA. Tell her the Lord is good. I'm telling you, the Lord is good. They were gonna do it at the VA in West Palm Beach. The VA says, okay, we have this doctor here. He's great, Dr. Jafari. He's good, and he was an excellent surgeon, ENT surgeon. But when they look at what they had to do, they said, well, we're going to need vascular surgeon, and we're going to need thoracic surgeon to stand by. And that's what they didn't have. That was great. The support system, they didn't have that great. They have them there, but so he was trying to schedule the vascular surgeon and the thoracic surgeon. This was in 2020, mid 2020, when they found all this. And by the time early 2020, COVID, and they found all this, they did all the tests and all that kind of stuff. And then by December 2020, I was supposed to have the surgery. So they got the surgeons together, the thoracic surgeon, the vascular surgeon. Dr. Jafari, though, was saying it's a very, very technical situation, because if we end up nicking an artery, we're gonna need vascular surgeon right there, and if we can't get that part that go down into your chest, we're gonna need thoracic surgeon to cut your chest, to split your chest right in the middle here, just like when they were opening up for a heart surgery. He said, we're going to need thoracic surgeon to split your chest and go take it out so we can get it out. So they said, okay, but he said, but we believe we can just scoop it out, and we believe we can get it off the brachiocephalic artery. We don't cut anything. So it was kind of scary, but I said, okay, let's do it. What do I have to lose but my life? You cut the wrong thing. But so we were getting ready to do it December. I think it was December 20th. I was supposed to do it. So I went in that morning to get I was going to go in to get my pre-op the day before. Was it the day before or a week before? I don't remember. But anyway, I was going to get the pre-op shortly before the surgery. And they do COVID tests every time you go in, because if I had COVID, I couldn't do the test. I couldn't do the surgery, rather. So went in to get my pre-op done. They said, oh, you got COVID. I went to the COVID department first to get the test done. They send it back to me and says, you got COVID. I said, I can't have COVID. I don't even have any symptoms. I was fine. I didn't even feel a sniffle. Not even a sniffle. Like, how can I have COVID? But I think the Lord didn't want them to do the surgery there. So he just make the test come back positive. Because the Lord knows they were probably going to kill me off up there. And so they had to postpone the surgery. So they postponed it. And then they were trying to get it done in January of 2021. And they couldn't get the vascular surgeon and the thoracic surgeon together. They just couldn't get them together. They were trying, and they said, oh, the schedules and blah, 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 blah. Till Dr. Jafari said, I think we should just send you to the University of Miami to get this done. I said, good. That's a great idea. So they sent me to the University of Miami. I got it done there. Dr. Leibowitz, Jason Leibowitz, really good guy, really good. Said he was one of the best. He did the surgery though, and ironic thing is, it's just to tell you how how much I needed to be at the University of Miami, because the Lord knew this was going to happen. Did the surgery, and when I came out of the surgery, first of all, I don't do great with anesthesia, because it took them a while to wake me up. I didn't know that. My wife and my sister was down here while they were doing the surgery, and my wife and them were calling the hospital asking, what's going on? He's supposed to be out of surgery like 3-4 hours now. I said, oh, he's fine. He's just not waking up. I guess I was still breathing, but just not waking up. Me and drugs don't do very well, or alcohol and all that stuff. Any kind of sedative, it knocked me out. If I take the 25 milligram Benadryl, if I take a whole one, I'm out cold, just out for a while. I usually, if I'm having any kind of allergies, and sometimes I take half of one, the 25 milligram, or sometimes I take a quarter, and it make me sleepy. So I don't do drugs or anything like that. Any kind of sedative doesn't sit well with me. And they said they are having problems waking me up. Yeah. Yeah, so that car distracted me. So I was out of surgery, and I was sitting there. I woke up, and they were talking to me. When I woke up, they were talking to me, and they were asking me questions. They were saying, "Oh, how do you feel? I feel." I saw like nurses around me and the doctor around me. I'm like, this is recovery. I used to work in the hospital, so I know what recovery is. That, usually after you recovered, there's not this many people around you. You're just there, so you could wake up fully. And even before you fully wake up, they're gonna send you to the floor. Send you to a floor, a step down or something. So I was there. They said, "How do you feel?" I said, "Oh." He said, "You feel like your neck is getting bigger, or you feel any pain?" And I said, "Well, it just feels like I had surgery. My neck feels stiff." so they said, "You don't feel any other way?" I said, "No." Are you breathing okay?" I said, "Yeah, I feel like I'm breathing okay, except my neck just feels kind of full." And I said, "But I had surgery, so obviously it's gonna feel that way." And so they were there. They were all there looking, and the doctor left, and then he came back and he says, "How do you feel now?" And I said, "Oh." After a while, though, I started feeling like my throat, something was filling up in it, like it was getting, like I couldn't breathe a little bit. I said, "Oh, I feel like something was in my throat, like my throat is filling up a little bit, you know." And then all of a sudden I felt like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm having problems breathing. I said, "Okay, all right, we got to take you back to surgery. It looks like you're bleeding inside." Looked like there was an artery in there that's bleeding. I said, "Well," I prayed. I said a quick prayer in my mind, and I said, "Well, let's do it. Let's get this artery." The guys, they were probably surprised. They sort of thought I was going to freak out. But I don't freak out easily, guys. Once I have information, and then I don't freak out. If I don't have information, that's when I worry a little bit. Or I try to get information. But I'm not one to freak out. So, said, yeah, let's do it. I said, well, we got a good doctor, and I got Jesus. So we went back in. They threw me on the gurney, and wheeled me back there. And they were moving fast, and they were wheeling me back there into surgery. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. And so all I remember is I saw the bright lights, and everybody was working fast. It's a good thing they had another surgery already prepped. It looked like they realized it. Oh, they have quite a few surgeries down in that area. But it looked like they realized it, that I might have been bleeding, and they just went and prepped and got ready for me just in case, which is what you want. You want to be prepared. These guys were like special forces doctors. They're good. They had me prepped and ready to go. So I just saw those bright lights, the one they have in the OR. And everybody was working fast and everything like that. And then that's it. I didn't remember anything. So that's when my wife was calling, and they said, oh, well, we had to take him back into surgery. And they started worrying and praying and everything. She said she was freaking out. I wasn't freaking out. And I was the one getting chopped up again. So then I came back. So this surgery now, I went down in the morning to the University of Miami. Surgery was at 10 o'clock, I believe. Yeah. No, the surgery was early afternoon, I think like 1, but I went there from 10 to get ready. 9 or 10, somewhere there. And so I was there that whole time. They had the surgery at around 1. I came out of the first one around 5 and went back into the second one right after that, about an hour later. Or came out about 4, went back around 5 into the second one, somewhere there. And then this is where my family, they were worried because they heard that I went back into surgery. And the first time wasn't the time they had problem waking me up. It was the second time they had problems waking me up. And so when I got back out of the other surgery, I probably didn't wake up for like 5 hours or so. And they were worried. And after a while, though, I came around. And when I got on the floor, when they finally took me to a floor in the hospital, to a hospital unit, it was 1 in the morning. I had a rough day. I had a pretty rough day. And when I went there, I was still so sleepy. I just slept. Just slept and slept and slept. I was just sleeping. I slept that morning, that throughout the rest of the morning. I slept through. I had drains and all that stuff. No, they woke me up in the morning for breakfast. And I ate breakfast. They said, oh, you can eat. You're wide awake. I said, yeah, and I'm hungry too. So, because I was, when you're going to have surgery, you're pre-op, you don't eat. And so I was about 2 days, no food there. And so I said, yeah, I'm hungry too. So I ate. And it was a little painful, but I hate it because the hunger was more than the pain, and so that's my ordeal there, and it's it was rough. So that's guess what? I started off telling you why my sleep got messed up. So when when the when I got back to my normal self and came home, my sleep, I fell back into that same mode of sleep, waking up every hour. Even though the thing wasn't there anymore, wasn't causing me any problems, I was still waking up every hour because my body had fallen into that sleep pattern. Yeah, my body had fallen into that sleep pattern. And so that's what I was doing. I was waking up every hour, just the same. And so that's when I went to the sleep doctor at the VA, and they started working on me. And it's been since that time, I'm still struggling because the idea is to go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time. You have what something called your sleep drive. And your sleep drive is when you get that sleep drive, that's the urge to sleep. It only lasts for a certain time. If you sleep at the time you get the sleep drive, then that drive goes away and it come back around about the same time. And so what you want to do is, if you're waking up in the middle of the night all the time, you're not satisfying that sleep drive. And then in the daytime, that's when it comes. And you're sleepy during the day. If you sleep during the day, you just turn yourself into a day sleeper and a night waker. Because now you reset your circadian rhythm, your sleep-wake time. Because your body goes based on, really it goes based on the sun. When the sun comes up, your body is telling you to wake up. When the sun goes down, your body is telling you to relax and go to sleep. But you can force yourself to force it the other way and mess up your circadian rhythm. And so mine had been messed up for for over a 5-year period. And so that's what happened there, and it's still bad. And so after I finished with the sleep doctor, and I'm almost done. After I finished with the sleep doctor, I got to where I had a good sleep cycle. It was good. Go to bed at the same time, woke up at the same time. It was hard before, really hard, getting that cycle, because he said the idea is when you set your alarm and you wake up, if it's 5 o'clock, you're going to wake up. You wake up at 5 o'clock or 5:30 or 6 o'clock, but it's morning time before daylight, or when the sun comes up, or 7 o'clock if that's what you set, or even 8 if that's what you want to do. But you're going to only give yourself 8 hours. So if you only give yourself 8 hours at night to sleep, that means you got to go to your bed at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. So if you want to wake up 8 o'clock, if it's 8 o'clock, that's your time you want to wake up, you got to go to your bed at midnight. So that will give you 8 hours of sleep in your bed. And so I'm an early riser. My body just naturally wakes me up early. So and by 9 o'clock I'm starting to get sleepy. By 9 o'clock I'm sleepy, and that's when you want to go to sleep, when your body's natural sleep drive kicks in. You don't want to force yourself to have a certain sleep pattern just because you like that time. It's best to use what your body is doing already. And so mine, between 8:30 and 9, I'm starting to doze off. And then I'm up by 5, 6, by 5:30, somewhere there, normally. So that's what I tried to do. It was working. And then there's sometimes I had to stay up late. And sometimes I could just like, oh, my sleep got messed up so much and got thrown off. And every time it gets thrown off, it's hard to get it back on track. It's not like some people who can just go and you didn't sleep. You went to bed late, midnight tonight, tomorrow. You just go and go to your bed normal time and you sleep very well. Nope. When mine gets thrown off, it gets thrown off for a long time. My body just fall into that different mode. Now, if I go to my bed 12 and wake up 8, the next night, I'm not sleepy at 9. I'm not sleepy till like 11, 12 again. And so it just throws my body into a whole different pattern. So right now, I find out that even if I wake up and I'm back to the, how long did I walk for? I've been walking for 51 minutes. Wow. I didn't think I was walking that long. Wow. But anyway, now even if if my even if I wake up, if I go to bed too late, right? And I can't say, or even if I go to my bed at the right time, I say 9:30, 10, somewhere around there, and I wake up 5, 6 o'clock. The the If I go back to sleep, it just messes up my sleep. I might feel sleepy, or I didn't get enough good sleep during the night. That's the other thing too. The other thing is winding down. You have to wind down properly. Like at like 8:30, I have to just stop doing everything, sit down, relax, and try to wind down. If I'm too busy doing stuff, too late, then it just cancels out my sleep for the night, and then I'm just wide awake for a long, long time, probably till 1, 2 in the morning. So when that sleep drive comes, and I wind down, and that sleep drive comes, it's time to sleep, and I just need to go to sleep. I'm back. So yeah, that's the whole thing about sleep. You gotta go to your bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, wind down properly. So in summary, go to your bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, wind down properly. And yeah, and try not to look at electronics late at night. Before you go to your bed, turn off the electronics, and turn off the electronics, and also, get your mind ready to sleep, or you're not talking to people or in any kind of conversations that's tenuous, like serious conversations. So yeah, there you have it. You heard my whole story. Heard my whole life story there about this thyroid issue. I went for a little walk this morning, backpacking, and feels good.